Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Spanish Loops. Francisco, you look fantastic. How are you doing?
Thank you very much. Here we are ready to talk. How about you? How are you doing?
Not bad. Thank you. Everything is fine. And here we are with another chapter of.
Spanish loops.
There we go. So, as we said to everybody, there is another chapter of Spanish Loops. Welcome, everybody. Thank you again for your loyalty, standing over here, just coping with us like every single week. And Francisco, how is it? Everything around your bubble about everything? And surprise me, which is the topic we're going to talk about today?
Well, today we're going to be talking about train companies in Spain.
Uh-huh.
The issue is that Spanish railroad company, Renfe, R-E-N-F-E, for many, many, many years has been the second most reliable train company in the world, right
Mm-hmm.
after Japan. And suddenly, this last year in 2024, not anymore. We have a big change in Spain. We have new companies running trains in Spain. And we don't know if it's because of that or not. We are beginning to see trains are delayed like 1 hour, 2 hours. It's going
True.
crazy.
True.
So
That's right.
that's
Yeah.
what we want to be talking today.
Yeah, so you meant last year, 2024, the new train companies started to run. But Francisco, what about if we start with a little bit of history, how everything started in Spain regarding trains?
There we go. So why don't we start with train history in Spain?
Hmm. Okay, so you go, I go, choo choo
You
choo
go.
choo, I go.
Choo
Okay.
choo.
Well, if you do a little bit of a search in about what's the history of trains in Spain. I mean, obviously, we have to do research about every chapter that we talk about because we have things in our minds because we know it's part of our job. But then we get into topics like this that is not an everyday topic. So you do some research, let's call it that way. And to my surprise, it's been called always in most of the papers I've read and everything and all the research I've done most of them they titled "The Dawn of Trains in Spain: A Transatlantic Beginning."
Whoa.
Yep.
Wow.
Okay, Francisco, quiz question.
Okay.
Do you have any idea when was the first train in Spain?
If I'm not wrong, it was from Barcelona to Mataró. That's what I studied when I was a kid in school, but I'm not quite sure if it's true or not.
That is what we all learned when we were at the school as kids, that's right. But it's not. It
It's
is
not.
not. Nope.
So
Nope.
which one was it?
Okay, here we go. It was in Cuba.
Excuse me?
Yep, it was in Cuba. That's
Okay, I
right.
was not expecting that one.
Seriously, it was at that time we have to remind our listeners that Cuba was a province of Spain. Some people might call it a colony. Okay, Spain officially all the territories that had overseas at that time and previously they were called provinces. Okay, or provinces overseas. So Cuba was one of
Sorry,
them.
Jorge.
Yeah,
What time are we talking about? What moment in
we're talking
history?
early 1800s.
Okay. Thank
Early
you.
1800s, that's right, yeah. And it was precisely in 1837 in Cuba that it was inaugurated and it was a line connecting Havana, the city, the
Mhm.
capital of Cuba, with a town called Guines, Guines. And it was a distance of 70 kilometers. That's about 50 miles, I guess. Uh, I mean, in that time, Spain, as I said before, it was control Cuba until 1898. Okay, that they got their independence. But I have to tell you that from that period of time when it was inaugurated in 1837 up until 1898, the network of Cuba of railway it was almost 1,800 kilometers. That's about 13,000 miles. No, sorry.
Wow.
No, not 13,000. I'm sorry, 1,300 miles.
Yeah, I mean, for
That's a
that
lot.
moment in
That
history,
is a
that's a
lot.
lot, and
That
especially
is
for
a
the
lot.
island of Cuba that is not that big. I mean, it's big, but
Oh yeah, it is big, but I mean that is a long network, for Cuba, and well, if we get back into Spain mainland, the railway history started later, and it was exactly as you said before, in between Barcelona and a town called Mataró, and that happened in October 1848, and it was the length of that line was 30 kilometers, was like about 22, 23 miles, and that marked the beginning of a new era of transportation in Spain, like everywhere else.
the thing is that to put our listeners in context, at this moment, when the Industrial Revolution hits Spain, Barcelona and that coast becomes one of the most industrialized
Oh,
areas in
yeah.
Spain,
Hmm.
and especially Mataró, which is a little bit north of Barcelona by the coast. It is the big, big, big industrial area. That's why we have this connection between Barcelona and Mataró.
Yeah. The driving forces, the
Mhm.
people behind this visionary projects, there were two entrepreneurs. One was Miquel Viada, and the other one was Jose Maria Roca. That he collaborated with British investors to bring the plan to life. That's why in Spain, trains, they do not go on the right hand side of the tracks. They go on the left whenever there is dual tracks. Okay.
I had no idea.
Yeah.
That's why they come from the wrong way because it's the British way.
That's right. Yeah.
Sorry,
Yeah.
British listeners, don't be offended.
No, 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 no offense at all. I mean, it's just because it was everything started that way. It was much easier just to follow the same pattern, right?
Okay, makes
Yeah.
so much sense now.
But ironically, when you get into the underground in Barcelona, I mean, we call it metro, but
Mhm.
in fact, this is a train. Okay, it's
Yes.
more, a smaller size, etc., etc. But ironically, they started the train, conventional trains. They started in Catalonia, in between Barcelona and Mataró, as we had mentioned a few moments ago. But if you go into the metro, the underground of Barcelona, it goes on the right-hand side. So it's kind of confusing.
Well, welcome to Spain. We
Yeah,
love
that's
to make
right.
things
That's right.
complicated.
That's right. So, well, just continue a little bit with the history. Fast forward to today, Spain boasts a very impressive in total of 16,000, and this time it's thousands,
I was,
kilometers of railways, and it's managed primarily by a state corporation called ADIF, ADIF, that is the administrator of all that network. Is a public enterprise under the Ministry of Transport. This connects cities, towns, rural areas, and of course, plays a very big role in Spain's economic life and social life. Building that network didn't have, I mean, had a lot of challenges. One of the biggest one, Francisco, and we have mentioned this many times in our podcast. Do you have a guess what it could be to be so expensive? Number one, second, complicated, and third, it takes much longer than anyone could expect.
I
You have
would bet
any idea?
it's our landscape, our orography. We're the
Correct,
second European country with more mountains. You
correct.
have
After
to
Switzerland, yeah, that's right.
go. So you have to go through them.
That's right. That is the reason why in the peninsula, and I am talking about the Iberian Peninsula, and that includes Portugal, there are different gauges, different width of the tracks.
Okay.
Guess how many different widths of the tracks we have in the Iberian Peninsula? It's
No idea.
crazy. Eight.
8.
Eight. That's right.
Okay, so
Eight.
that's why when you're on a train, they have to stop and we're adjusting to the new. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. I remember when the high-speed train started in Spain in 1992. The very first time I took that train, it was from Madrid to my hometown, Malaga. The very first line was Madrid to Sevilla, but let's say like two-thirds of the line was to Cordoba, and then the high speed continued to Sevilla, and that was in 1992. But in the same train that it was running very fast on the high speed tracks, they had to divert to the conventional one, that conventional gauge of the tracks, and they had to stop and do it manually, you know, axle
Manually.
by axle in each car. Then they invented a system that the train didn't stop. They had to go very slowly, and then they go the width of the wheels of the
Mhm.
train. They were just adapting to the new gauge. So that was a very big improvement in those days. But there's still many places that they still have to do it, and also it all depends. Um, I mean, it was like engineering challenges, um, especially because of the difference with the rest of the continent. As I said, eight different gauges that drove the engineers
That's insane.
totally nuts. Yeah. Okay.
So the thing is that, as you said, we have all of these thousands of miles of railroads everywhere. Now the thing is the high speed train, which I think is the future for transportation in these countries. Okay.
Hmm.
And here in Spain, we have a very well developed system of high speed railroads and trains and everything, especially connecting the center, Madrid, with the southeast of Spain, Barcelona, Valencia, Malaga, Sevilla, all of that.
Well, Barcelona is
The
in the
north,
northeast. Barcelona is in the
the
northeast.
northeast,
Yeah.
yeah, all the north, well, yeah, from all the east and south of Spain, all
Hmm.
the northern part of Spain, it is under development. Okay. And it's going to be until 2026, 27, until we'll have better high speed connections with the northwest
Hmm.
of Spain.
So let's say that
Uh,
if you imagine Spain as a square and you just
mhm.
draw a diagonal from the top right to the bottom left, that right part of the square is better connected than the other one. Is that what you're talking about?
There we go. So all the top part of Spain,
Hmm.
it's not as well connected with high speed train,
Hmm.
and we're developing it. It's taking time because, as you said, it's complicated, it's difficult, and expensive. But little by little, we're doing it. Uh, Maybe this all these challenges of doing it so difficult and so hard and all of that is why it has become our railroad development and all of this engineering one of the best ones in the world. I mean, we are exporting our know-how of train construction today to everywhere around the world, in the United States, in Saudi Arabia, in Morocco. All of these new high-speed trains are are being developed by Spanish companies, which I think is amazing.
Yeah. Don't forget that at the very beginning it was French and German corporations who brought the very first high-speed trains in here. It was a political agreement between the countries, and also it had to do with the European Union. We got funds, etc., etc. But Spain developed their own technology about it, and truly shown on the global stage in its high-speed rail system. Nowadays, we have over 4,000 kilometers of high-speed lines. That's about 3,000 miles, and it boasts the largest high-speed rail network in Europe, and
Mhm.
it ranks the second worldwide, trailing only China.
And I
The
think we should all be very proud of it.
Oh yeah, we are. Yes, we are. I mean, if we compare with China, I mean, they are light years away from us.
Yeah.
I think they have like about 50,000 kilometers already built, but I mean, China is another world, it's another orography as well, it's another way of thinking, etc., etc., etc. But the flagship service up until a year ago, as you mentioned, it was the train called AVE, AVE, which is called Alta Velocidad Española. But ave as a word also means a bird.
Mhm.
We do have a podcast released about high-speed transportation in Spain, so we can, uh, you know, let you know that it is there. Just do a search and in the podcast, and you will know more about that. Here we are just mentioning because it's uh, is history of
That's
the train in Spain. Well, as I said, the very first one was in 1992 between Madrid and Sevilla. Now, there is something very important here we have to keep in mind. Like anything run by the government, it goes with a bureaucracy terms that you have
interesting.
no idea how long it could take. So there was a privatization and liberalization, and it was called like a new era of competition. But that happened. When do you think it happened, Francisco? You mentioned that it was in 2024 when the new companies started to run through the tracks that belongs to that company that we mentioned
Mhm.
before. But the agreement happened, guess when?
I don't know. It was many years before.
2007.
2007.
Yep. Yeah, it went, the sector underwent a very significant transformation when freight transportation lines were liberalized, opening the market to private operators. The National Railway Company, Renfe, was restructured in two entities: Renfe, which operates passengers and freight services, and Adif, which oversees all the network. Okay, of course, this change, let's say, they aimed to boost competition, improving efficiency, and offer better services to the customers. It took a long time for that to happen, especially for the customers, because one thing is freights. I have to, I have to say here, freight trains, they go on what we call the conventional gauge width, which are much slower, more snaky. It goes in a different lines, etc., etc., etc. The highest speed the passengers line is just for passenger trains.
Passengers.
Yep,
Yeah.
yep.
So in 2007, you said it's when it was signed the opening to new railroad companies to come
When the sector was liberalized, because it was
liberalized.
just on the full hands of the states, still in full hand of states, but now they allowed international companies to use the tracks. But of course, they have to pay a toll to use them, obviously.
So now we're moving to 2024.
Hmm.
Now, in 2024, it's when, as the public, we have suddenly seen two or three new companies running. We have Wigo
We
and
have the French Ouigo. That's
the
right.
French
Yeah.
Wigo and the Italian, gosh, it's gone.
Irio.
Irio. Oh God, thank
Irio.
you for that.
Well, it is
So,
a consortium between Italy and Spain. Okay.
there we go. So we have two new private companies running trains with the same amount of railroads doing the same distances or the
That's
same
right.
connections.
That's right.
Right?
Yeah, that's right.
So now, when our listeners are going to come to Spain, everybody, we have forever talk about Renfe. I mean, not just
Hmm.
us. All the
Everybody.
podcasts, all the news, everything is Renfe, 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 Renfe. That is the Spanish National Railroad. You go and you book your railroad in Spain in Renfe. But that will now only provide you information about the Renfe trains.
That's
We
right.
have
Yeah.
two more. So you can go to check those, or I think one of the great options is the website Rome to Rio.
Rome to Rio is one of them. I think there is another one called Omeo Train Line.
Yeah. So
Those
to me, Rome
virtual.
to Rio, especially
Mhm.
for American and Canadian
Yeah,
listeners,
that's
is
very
one that
easy
is
to
very
use.
reliable
Hmm.
and it gives you almost all the information about all the trains. And dear listeners, when you are going to book in Rome to Rio, let's say a train from Madrid to Barcelona, you are going to freak out. You're going to have a train, let's say
Why?
at 7 o'clock in the morning, another one at 7:04, and another one at 7:07.
Yeah.
And you're going to be like, what the hell is this? Is this the same train with a different name? Nope. There are
No,
three trains, one chasing the other one,
that's right.
which doesn't make sense to me. I'm sorry. It doesn't just make sense to me.
Yeah.
So, what's the problem? if the first train, the one that leaves at 7 o'clock in the morning, suddenly slows down for whatever, the two trains that are coming 4 or 3 minutes right after that have to stop
Yeah.
because if not, they're going to crash. So they have to stop. And the one behind has to stop. And
It,
that's what's going on right now.
yeah.
We don't know what's going on. We don't know how to organize all of this. The thing is that if in one point in the line all around Spain, one train stops, suddenly tock, 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 is like,
It's like a bottleneck.
like a
It's like
bottleneck. And
like a bottleneck. Yeah.
in less than 2 hours,
Hmm.
all of these trains have to stop
Yeah.
because they could have a collision, they could have a crash. So it's like, stop them.
Yeah.
That's why we're beginning to have 2-3 hour delays.
And also, not only that, is the train stations, the networks in the train stations, they were adapted only for the initial service that was provided by Renfe, as you mentioned. But now with so many companies, I mean, the Renfe trains, they're running and they're full, all of them. And especially in vacations or holidays, long holidays, they even put two or three compositions together. So that
Mm.
means that they double or triple the capacity of each traject. And the same happens with the other companies. So what's happening? The train stations, they are becoming very, very small for the amount of passengers. So it's almost like boarding a plane. You know, you have to be at the airport like 2 hours before, go through security, etc., etc. Here now with the train stations, I'm talking the one here in Madrid, okay, where I live.
Mm-hmm.
And the Atocha railway station right now, like about, I don't know, a few months ago, they started working in doubling the capacity of the passengers for covering at least the traffic of people for the following 20 years. But this work is going to take at least 12 years to have it finished because you have to improve and double the capacity of the train station, not only the tracks, but all the whole areas and entrances and security areas and everything, but also I mean, people are traveling more and more and more every day. So in the same space, they have to work and work with the people and
And the
in
trains.
developing the network. So
Mhm.
it is a chaos. Right now, it is a chaos.
I,
Okay.
I'm not
But
happy to
we
say
don't
that
want to
it is.
discourage anyone
No,
to
no.
travel. It is a wonderful experience. Okay, we know now that nowadays traveling is not as even if you are going first class, you know, it's not as glamorous as it used to be in the golden era of the 50s and 60s when traveling was only available to very few people, and now it's becoming more affordable. And well, you have to go through some struggles to get into the train or the plane. Hey, it is. I think it's worth anyway.
I think it's worth it. And
Yeah.
still, I mean, although we're beginning to see some, you know, delayed trains and things like that,
Oh yeah. Yeah.
it's for the size of Spain. I still think it's much more convenient to move around Spain by train rather than by plane.
And I believe, I don't know if you're going to agree with me or not, Francisco, but I do believe that the train timings are more reliable than planes.
Well, the thing is that planes,
Because
as
if
you
you have a
said,
storm, if you have a heavy rains, whatever, the train can still go
yeah,
faster or slower, but it still can go.
can go.
If you have a storm and the plane cannot take off, you're stuck there.
You're stuck in the airplane. So to me, I mean, as we say, please, to our audience, please don't freak out. Do move around Spain by train,
Oh, it's the most
and
convenient
because
thing.
it's really, really easy, but it's something that I know we're going to figure it out, but it's going to take a while. All right. So
Mhm.
probably in a couple of years, we'll run again smooth and on time and perfect. The people also, it's kind of strange because before, if you would go to a train station, you would see anybody at the train station, everybody worked for Renfe. So
Yeah.
they knew all the trains coming in and coming out. But now, if you go to a train station and you ask somebody from Renfe about a Wigo or
They will
Irio,
tell you no way,
it was
Jose.
like, oh, it's not my company. I have no clue what the hell.
Yeah.
And so it's a little bit more stressing.
Have you
To me,
gone in these other two companies in Irio
no,
or Wigo?
No,
I
not yet.
think
Have
you
you?
haven't. Yes, I have many times in Irio.
And
I have to tell you, the trains are new. I mean, they are barely a year and a half old. That's part number one. Part number two, they have as many connections as Renfe. So what happens if you have one Renfe at 7 and you have another at 7:05, which is Irio, and then you have the French Ouigo at 7:10. I mean, you have triple the options. So you have more options to get the one that is more convenient to you. It's been just a matter of coincidence. I've traveled a lot with Irio. I still use Ave, the Renfe, but Irio, I have to say, is slightly cheaper for my convenience for the trains that I might take. But only once I took the Ouigo. I have to tell you, please, if there is anyone here listening and from that company, don't get me wrong, but I felt overwhelmed traveling with Ouigo because they are that the cars are double decker,
oh,
and each train can hold up to 1,000 passengers. So imagine the chaos just to board the train. Everybody, we as good Spaniards, we want to go all at the same time. We don't make lines. Right?
we don't know what
So,
is that.
so it's like mobs of people going and they wanted to go all at the same time. Up to the point that for security reasons in the Atocha railway station, they block the track. You know, the track is in the center and you have one train in one side and one train in the other. So they pay extra money to the authorities to block the entire track every time that there is what we go train to board. Because imagine 1,000 people trying to get into the train. So it is, and also the luggage racks, they're not as generous in space as they could be just the regular one floor trains instead of the double deckers. So, yes, I did travel with them. The price was fantastic. It is very convenient if you have carry on. That's perfect. But if you have a suitcase, then you're going to have some problems to find space for your suitcase because you're not the only one traveling on that train. There's another
I was thinking.
999 people.
So Irio, it's the one that is more complicated, the double
Oh,
deckers.
no, no.
Which one is?
We go.
Oh, Wigo.
Ouigo is
Okay,
a double deckers, yeah.
okay. The Wigo
But
is in.
that connects Madrid with Paris, going
Oh,
through Barcelona. I mean, they can make like about two, maybe no more than two stops between Madrid and Barcelona. Sometimes there are direct lines or trains. We're talking about Ouigo, that goes Madrid, Barcelona non-stop. And if they stop, it's for technical reasons, not
yeah.
for picking up passengers. And then from Barcelona, they cross the border in France, and then in France,
Oh,
they
they go
have
to Paris.
like about maybe one, two, or three stops until you get to Paris. I believe the total traveling time between Madrid and Paris is like about 7.5 hours, which is okay if you like trains and you see the landscaping, etc., etc. You go from the city center of Madrid to the city center of Paris.
Paris.
Consider the time in Madrid is a huge airport, it's a big one, and you have to be there, whether you like it or not. You have to be there for. I mean, if you're flying from Madrid to Paris, the latest like 2 hours before, because at
Mhm.
Madrid airport they close the flights 50 minutes before departure. Imagine the distance that you have to get from the check-in counter to the boarding gate. So it's 50 minutes. So 2 hours before. Consider the time also that you have to get from the city center of Madrid to the airport. That's an extra half an hour.
Half an
So we,
hour.
we have 2.5. Then the flight to Paris might be 2 hours and a half, depends on the air
That's
traffic.
2 hours and a half
Then you're having there almost 5 hours. And then to get from Paris airport to
to the city
city
center.
center of Paris, with the traffic in Paris as it is, it's another hour. So in total, you're gonna spend an extra hour sitting on a train, quietly moving around. You just want to go to the cafeteria, have a coffee, or even have a snack and something like that. If you carry your own sandwich with you, that's perfect as well. You're there, you can work. Uh, I mean, to me, it's still more relaxed to travel to distances like Paris or even Rome, because Aerial travels to
Also,
Rome
to
from
Rome.
Madrid as
Okay.
well. Okay, so to me that could be an option. I haven't done international train on high speed yet. That's one of the things that I would love to make it just for the sake of experiencing it.
Mm.
Okay, yeah.
Well,
Francisco, have you heard about the touristic trains that we have in Spain?
the beautiful, fancy Cantabric coast. Although, oh,
Trans-Cantabric, that's right. Cantabric coast is from the western part of the Pyrenees to the northwesternmost point of Spain, and it's called the Cantabric Shore. So it's called Trans-Cantabric train, which goes on a very narrow gauge track, and it is like a five-star luxury hotel. All the services like it used to be in the early 20th
it's an
century.
old-fashioned train.
Everything is like fancy and delicate and Michelin stars dishes, etc., etc., etc. But Francisco, we have another one in Andalusia,
Which one?
Al Andalus.
Okay, and what road does it take?
Oh, it goes right in the heart of Andalusia from east to west and vice versa. Starts in Sevilla, and then you have the tours. You go to Malaga, then you go to all train stations that they are barely used, only just to let freight trains passes by, and they can sleep overnight in one station, in one
Wow.
side track, and you have that beautiful extra service. But you have to pay for it because it's an extra luxurious thing. Okay, it's like if
Well,
you're imagine I mean, not as tragic as the Titanic or Titanic, right? Imagine that kind of service that you could visualize when they tell you, "Hey, I'm in a five stars hotel, or I'm in a five stars
but
boat," and
to me, it's like a Trans-Siberian train. It's one of
oh
those
yeah, I mean,
trains
just
that is an
one of those,
experience,
yeah,
a five-star experience. If
yeah.
you have the money and the time, because this is one of the things I love about trains, is
Mm,
slow tourism. You
yeah.
have time to watch, you have time to.
And you
So
have
I've
also
never
you
done,
no, neither have I. Neither have I.
I have not done it because it's a little bit of money, money, money. But
But just save a little bit and treat yourself. There are things that everyone should do if you have the chance, of course.
yeah,
That I mean, if you just make a little bit of sacrifices and things like that, if you can afford it, just to experience and make it, why not?
it's
I
beautiful.
mean, we are lucky the way we're living, that we are living this in a part of the world that there is many services that many people are lucky enough. So anyway, was just a side comment, so don't take that for granted. Is there anything else that you want to
No,
mention about the
I just want to
train?
say, everybody, come to Spain, join our railroads, and discover all this beautiful, beautiful country. If our listeners want to experience a high-speed train, there's a great way. There's a tour that, Jorge, do you get on any of your tours around Spain on the high-speed train?
Actually, I don't. I had to
Oh,
tell
you
you, no,
don't?
no, I
That,
don't.
okay, so you go by bus.
Yes, we use buses, but what I do is the same as you, customized tours. I don't know if you do customized tours or
Mhm.
not, but I do customized tours as well for families or a group of friends. And whenever they want to stay here, I always offer, and it works, believe it or not, because the direct train from Madrid, which is in the heart of the Iberian Peninsula, to Sevilla, Malaga, or Barcelona is 2.5 hours. So, in many occasions, I have offered a day visit from Madrid to Sevilla or
Wow.
Barcelona or Malaga, and it works. I mean, you have to get up early. Of course,
Okay.
you have to take advantage of the day because in the train you're going to be 2.5 hours sitting, so you can have a nap, a power nap, and then you just get to one of those cities, or even Valencia, which is even shorter. It's 1 hour and 45 minutes from Madrid,
Mhm.
and then then you just do your things there with your local guide. If I go with you, I'm taking you around. I show you the museum, whatever is customized, and then let's say like early evening, something like about hour early evening, like about 6 or 7. Just catch the train back to Madrid, and by 10, the latest 10 p.m., you're back at the hotel.
Oh,
So
that's perfect. I mean, that's
yeah,
a
it's
perfect
doable.
whole day.
You can make it. It's feasible. Yeah.
If somebody wants to contact Jorge, go to his website, travelingwithjorge.com.
Mm-hmm.
There you will get his email. You can contact him directly.
Okay, and if you want to check what Francisco is doing with his life and everything, he's got everything condensed also in his website, his travels, his cooking things, and etc., etc., etc. Is travelingsteps.es. And our email, guys, don't forget our email is SpanishLoops@gmail.com. Share with us your experiences if you have traveled anywhere in the world on a high-speed train, or even conventional trains, or those touristic trains that they happens everywhere. Just share them with us, and as we said in the past, we might make one day a compendium of now that we are on video, of photos shared with us, and that you were so
That'll be
generous
fun.
to make it. So what do you think of that, Francisco? Would you like that
That'll be
idea?
fun. So if somebody can send us images, videos, we'll try to repost them. That will be
Perfect.
very, very cool.
Perfect. Well, Francisco, thank you very much indeed. And next week we will be back. We will.
Jorge, great pleasure. See you next week. Adios, amigos.
Bye bye. Ciao. And as usual, we want to thank all our listeners for being there every week, letting us sharing our talks. Follow us in Spanish Loops in Facebook, Spotify, Apple Podcast, or your favorite platform.
And in Instagram, you can find us as the Spanish Loops Podcast, no spaces altogether. If you want to find us the quickest way, just Google Spanish Loops Podcast and you will find us. Hasta la vista, amigos.
See you next week.